Ontario to anybody anywhere.
Hi everyone.
This is a flu.
I'm at Queen's Park today
it's
for a
not as
special
threatening as the
protest
actual flu,
that's happening.
And there's absolutely no reason to
Because
have
our
insane measures
representatives
put up
are
against
sitting
our economy
today.
that oppress people, that put people in debt, that kill businesses, that oppress our children from education. This is not to do with a virus. This is a war on our democracy, and we are here to say no because
right.
we're the boss.
That's
So,
right.
with that, I'd like to invite our front man, Vlad Sobolev. If you could please come up and take the microphone. Thank you.
Woo! Well, I can't clap when my.
How's everyone doing?
Woo!
Yes. So we are here at the Queen's Park. Today is Wednesday. We're here representing Fearless Ontario. We're here fighting for freedom, which is essential, actually, above everything else. That's considered to be non-essential, unfortunately, now. A few things I want to discuss today. Doug Ford yesterday, graciously said that he's not going to mandate masks for province of Ontario. And there was some mixed emotions, of course. People like us understand that's a good move on his part. But we also understand the main reason why he didn't want to mandate it is because he didn't want to look bad for people and take responsibility for it. So basically what he's going to do, he's going to let the municipalities mandate it. So I don't necessarily take it as a victory per se for us. Unfortunately, the battle still continues. But if anything, we can use that as a leverage when we are fighting the municipalities. We're going to tell them that at the provincial level, there's no mandatory masks. So since we're in the province of Ontario, we're not going to be wearing the masks. And we're going to continue with our education. We're ordering the new flyers for this Saturday, so we have the same tool. We updated it a little bit to make it a little bit more, friendly and education in terms of all the points why the mask is actually detrimental to the health. The thing that I was watching yesterday, which is really good, I recommend if you guys haven't looked into, there's a doctor named Zach Bush. He discusses the whole concept of the world that we live in. And I learned about this even before, that there's two ways you can approach living in this world and this environment. You can perceive it as a hostile,
Queen's Park, guys.
or you can perceive it as a friendly environment and a friendly universe that you live in. And unfortunately, all the measures that the government's been taking and the World Health Organization has been taking the last 3 months especially, is that we live in a hostile universe. That's why we have to protect ourselves. That's why we have to stay safe. That's why we have to be distanced from each other. Viruses are bad, germs are bad. And unfortunately, this is one way to look at it. And I also called it yesterday, there's a human science and there's Frankenstein science, right? So human science is all about, we are part of this world. Germs and viruses actually a part of our world. It's all how we coexist together, because when we're exposed to germs and viruses, as we know, we actually get strong and healthy, because that's how we test our immune system. That's how we're able to get healthier for the long term. And then we're creating a sterilized world in the universe. We're actually going to get unhealthy and weaker. And again, most people familiar with the concept of plastic society, plastic boy. So when you have somebody completely isolated from the world of viruses and germs, you actually get weaker and unhealthier. And unfortunately, that's what the government is doing with us. So what I'm trying to get to is, it's our responsibility again to educate people around us, the one that's unfortunately been brainwashed by the government and the experts, that we have to be safe, we have to be protecting, we can't be exposing, we always have to use hand sanitizers, etc. Not realizing that we're taking away necessary part of who we are. Because we actually made up of germs and bacteria. Like most of our DNA is not even our DNA, it's a bacteria DNA. So understanding that this is a part of who we are would be the first step moving in the direction of holistic and a friendly universe, rather than a hostile that we have to be scared, we have to be in fear, and we have to be in protection. And as we discussed among us already many times, the ultimate focus for us as adults should be protect our children and help other parents who may be confused, educate them so their children are not affected. Because at the end of the day, the children who are developing right now are going to be like that for the rest of their lives.
God forbid.
Be scared, we're going to be timid,
Say no.
we're not going to be able to socialize with other people.
We're not going to let that happen.
What this whole agenda is creating for us, right?
We're not going to let that happen, guys.
We're here protesting the the lockdown that needs to end as soon as possible, and ultimately it's us about educating other people, making sure that we can provide that light, that information for people to be aware and move forward. So I'll bring Kelly back and we'll talk more. Thank you.
Thank you. Woo! Vlad.
That's Vlad, everybody. So it is exciting that Ontario is not making mandatory masks, even though we know it's going to be pushed by the municipalities. But just knowing that Ontario is not making mandatory masks is evidence enough to show that every single person that comes here day after day, week after week, month after month, as it's turning into, to stand up for the rights of all others is working. It's absolutely working.
Yeah. Woo!
And that's what it's about. Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor. Love the children. Love your neighbor. Everybody is somebody's child, and we all matter. With that, I'm going to have Chris Sky come up and say his words.
Thank you. Woo! I'm clapping. Clapping with one hand.
I really got to hand it to this government. They know how to pacify the people. The maneuver they did by telling you Ontario wasn't going to make masks mandatory was brilliant. It gave them the headline they needed to let all the Canadians who watch nothing but TV go and tell all their friends, see, I told you the government wasn't going to do that to us, blah, blah, blah. Sure enough, as they already explained, every individual municipality is going to mandate their own laws, and we already see places like Guelph, Brampton, Markham mandating masks. So it's just another false hope. What other false hope did they give this week? Oh, we're opening everywhere but Toronto. I know personally that that single headline put so many people that were on the fence back on the government side. People I know from Vaughan, people I know from Richmond Hill area, all the outlying areas. They're also excited that they're going to get to open their retail shops. They're going to get to go on a restaurant patio. Nobody realizes that everything that's allowed to open is opening at 50% capacity, or in some cases even less. So even if they open everything all over Canada at 50% capacity, our economy would only be at 50% capacity minus the 20% of our economy, or the 20% of our businesses, which translates to about 10% of our entire economy we've already lost. Plus the 4 months we've had basically no economic activity at all. So they're telling everybody it's open. They're telling everybody basically everything's getting back to normal. But is it?
Nope.
At the same time, no, it's not.
No.
At the same time they're telling people that, what did they do? They extended our border closure to July 21st, at the very least.
Boo!
So that means, even though every other country in the world is back to work, every other country is accepting tourism, if you go there and enjoy those countries, enjoy that freedom, when you come back, you got to fill out a contact tracing form and be quarantined for 2 weeks.
Boo.
With very stiff penalties if you are found to refuse your quarantine. Why are they doing this? They got to keep the emergency alive. What are they going to do next week? They're going to extend the emergency order until July 30th.
Boo.
Why are they doing this?
Let's hope not.
They do not want to reinstate Parliament. Parliament it's a nuisance.
It's an
We
inconvenience.
have to vote on stuff. Then we can see who's voting for us, voting against us. If they keep extending this emergency order, it gives them the power to pass things like taking your guns, mandating masks, or virtually anything else they want without as much as a vote. And it's legal. Remember, every dictatorship, every mass murder of the people by their own government, every subjugation of the people by their own government was done legally. It was not done illegally. It was done after they passed laws to make things legal. And that's what they're doing here. And they don't want anyone in their way, and that's the only justification for extending these orders. Otherwise, they tell you the name of the experts, they give you the data, they give you the justification. They're not giving you any of that. What else did they do to let you know that this is not where this ends? They extended the CRB payments for another 2 months. That
Wow.
brings the so-called temporary CRB to 6 months, expanding every month to more and more people. But rest assured, they told us all, there are safeguards we put in place to make sure that nobody abuses the system.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know what their safeguard is? I actually looked into this because most people won't look into it because once they get their reassurance from their government, that's all they need. You know what their stopgap measure to make sure people don't abuse CRB is? As of July 5th, if you apply for CRB, you have to sign a form that says, I acknowledge the government wants me to work. That is the qualification for you to collect this money from the government.
Wow.
Signing a form that says, I acknowledge that the government really wants me to work and doesn't just want me on CRB for the rest of my life. So if you think that this is the beginning, if you think that they're really easing up, they're not. They're trying to make people lower their guard. They're trying to make people get complacent. Toronto isn't open. Toronto might go into phase 2, as they call it, by the end of July.
Jeez.
By August, September, we might be at phase 3 in most places, and possibly in the GTA. And by October, November, they're gonna try to lock us down again.
Yeah, they've
This
already announced
this
it.
is not speculation. They were talking about it. They have so many plans in place for it. If you think that they're not gonna take advantage of flu season and when people actually start getting sick, then you're just as naive as they hope you are.
Call it COVID.
That's what I can tell you about that. The government here is doing everything they can to make people think this is over. And that's why I'm trying to stress to everybody, it's just beginning.
Don't be
This is
fooled.
the calm before the storm. All of the economic consequences that we have inflicted upon ourselves, you're not going to see those consequences. They would start showing up sometime next year. But before that happens, they will lock you down again, and they will continue what they are doing on a larger scale with more draconian measures. Cutting hair will be
Ooh.
just the beginning.
Boo.
We have to get everybody on the fence, off the fence.
That's right.
Everybody that's complacent
Yeah,
has
please,
to be
people, please.
reignited.
Yeah.
If we wait till October, November for this lockdown to just reoccur, we're going to be caught off guard just like we were this time. So we got to remain vigilant. We got to keep in everybody's faces. Thankfully, when they do mandate the mask, that's going to keep everybody awake that this is still ongoing. This is not going away. Because the government will never let a good crisis go to waste. Remember that term. It was said by many famous politicians, and we're seeing it play out today. They create the crisis so they can create the solution so they can impose their agenda. That's what we're seeing,
I
and
hear
it's
you.
not going away. No matter what they tell you, no matter what they are trying to convince you of, they are not planning on reopening the country, reinstating your freedoms,
Nope.
and giving you back the life that you know and love. They are planning to keep you complacent throughout the summer because it's too hard to show a fake pandemic when everybody's nice and healthy. So they want you to wear your mask, stay home, eat garbage, so by the time fall comes around, your immune system's a lot lower than it would be. And when we actually hit flu season, the majority of the population's immune system will be lower than it normally is. So we'll have a worse flu season than normal. And that's all they will need to convince everybody
That we have a
that
second
this is
wave.
serious and even more serious. And everybody knows they've already been priming you. The second wave is going to be more deadly and dangerous than the first. What does that mean? That means that their control measures are going to be more strict and controlling than the first.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening is gradual. Remember, we only had to give up our freedoms for 2 weeks. That 2 weeks turned into 6 months.
Boo.
And in 6 months, we're still not going to have any of our freedoms back. The only thing we're going to have back is a stumbling economy ready to get shut down again.
We must not allow
That's
that to
all
happen.
they've given us. They've given false hope, and they haven't given any results. Let's talk about credibility for a minute. How many times can I lie to you before you stop believing what I tell you? For me, that's one time.
Yeah.
If you don't think I'm lying to you, if you think I have the best intentions, but I was just mistaken, how many times can I make a mistake before you stop believing what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Apparently, when you put it on TV, you can do it indefinitely and infinitely. Let's have some examples. When this all started, the WHO told us there's no human-to-human transmission. Excuse me? If any of us tried to post that on Facebook, we might even be held liable for some kind of crime. Because that kind of information is exactly the kind of information that allows a virus to proliferate to all corners of the globe. Especially when you tell everybody, closing the borders won't stop the virus. Stopping flights from China is racist. How dare you even consider that? So they told us the virus can't pass from human to human, and they told us trying to stop China flights would be racist and it wouldn't help. Sure enough, after a few weeks of listening to those, the virus made it all the way around the world. Then what do they tell us? Oh, sorry, it can transmit between humans. And maybe closing borders from China would help. So now, we're going to close everybody's borders. In fact, we're going to close your businesses and we're going to lock you down. Because we were wrong about all that, but I guarantee you we're right about this. You know how we know? We made up our own models that tell us so.
Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
the information
Yep.
they used to convince you to lock down.
Fake
Stuff
models.
that they made up after their direct information is what caused the pandemic in the first place. If they had told everybody, hey, this virus looks like it could be a deadly pandemic, we should do things to prevent it from happening, and it probably transmits between humans quite easily, as we're seeing people in China getting affected. No, they didn't say that. They said the exact opposite. And if any of us said that, we would be held liable. Then what do they tell you? Masks will help you. Then it was masks won't help you. Then it was wear a mask if you have symptoms. Then it was wear a mask to be symbolic. How many times can they give you false information, misleading information, conflicting information before you decide this is complete bullshit?
Yep.
That's what it is. It's complete bull.
It is.
Why are they lying? When you're lied to and you don't have the information, you cannot make an informed decision. So you look for somebody to tell you what to do. And believe me, they are more than happy to tell you what to do. But if you look at their track record and you want to actually gain from the government, the only thing you got to do is basically the exact opposite of everything they tell you. And I can prove it. They tell you you'll be healthier if you stay home, indoors, isolated, eating drive-through, no exercise, no sunlight.
Boo.
In reality, if you do the exact opposite of those things, go out, not confined, sunlight, eat healthy, exercise, socialize, you'll be a lot healthier. So that's a perfect example of doing the exact opposite of what the government tells you. What else did the government tell you? Don't go to work. It's irresponsible, and you're killing people. In reality, if you don't go to work, you go bankrupt, go broke, and you can't feed your family.
That's right.
So it's kind of irrelevant if you're going to potentially get somebody sick, isn't it? So once again, doing the exact opposite of what the government tells you will put you in a better position. But we have too many people doing the exact thing the government tells them. Even if the government tells you to do one thing today and the exact opposite tomorrow, people will do it. Why? Because they saw it on TV.
Boo. Think for yourselves, people. Think for yourselves.
TV controls people's minds.
Yeah, it's programming.
And I would like to say that I did get back to work on CTV Live yesterday.
Woo!
I had to be kind of sneaky about it because we know they wouldn't let me be on TV talking about something like that. Could you imagine them giving me 30 minutes of airtime on the mainstream media just to do one of my normal talks?
You're welcome, Jonathan.
Do you imagine what would happen in this country? Do you imagine the questions people would ask? That is the last thing they want. Could you imagine me and my panel of experts against Doug Ford, Trudeau, and whatever experts they don't have to name them, just bring them out. Keep their names secret. And have to wear a mask to cover their identity.
Oh my God.
I would love for them to do
Hide
that, but
the
of course they won't.
ridiculousness.
Of course, the only way I can get mentioned on TV is by other people and with them not knowing that it's going to happen. Why? Because they rely on ignorance. They rely on lies. How do you dispel lies? With truth. Exactly. And the truth only needs to be told once by one person. And it resonates. The lies need to be told by everybody as many times as possible.
Which is what they're doing.
So that's why we are a threat. That's why this is a threat. And that's why every time we talk, we make a difference. Because even if only one new person hears what we got to say, that's all it takes. And they tell somebody, and they tell somebody. I've seen, personally, in the last 3 months, people waking up at all different levels. Everybody, it's like an alarm clock. Everybody's alarm clock is set at a different time. But once it goes off, there's no going back to sleep. That's our advantage. Everybody that they had asleep, it's temporary. They can keep you asleep for so long. But once you're awake, putting you back to sleep is virtually impossible. Now, what's the second weapon we have to nullify? We know we have to nullify the lies with truth. That's easy. Because if you tell someone the truth, all they got to do is listen. The second part is a little harder, a little more complicated. Their other big weapon is fear.
Yes.
How do you combat fear? With courage.
Yes.
The problem is, I can't just talk to you and give you courage. Like, if I tell you the truth, I'm giving you the truth. You got it. But if I just tell you, you got to stand up to your fear, that's not enough. We got to show people. We got to show people how it's done. That's why I arranged the Back to Work initiative. It gives people anonymity. It gives people unity so they're not alone. It gives people a legal team. And it gives people a fund. So they have all of their bases covered, legally, financially, socially, and anonymously. We need to apply the same things to waking people up. We need to provide them the courage to stand up to the fear, to stand up to the public humiliation. That is the biggest thing holding people back. It's not that they believe the lie. It's that they don't want to deal with the consequences of telling the truth. We live in a society of universal deceit. And I hate to say it, but in a society of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. And it's going to get you consequences. Believe me, I'm seeing them daily.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All aspects.
Oh yeah.
But it's a price you have to be willing to pay if you value freedom and you value the country that we grew up in. If any of that matters to you, it truly matters to you, the rest is irrelevant. Fear is in your mind.
Yes.
Fear is not real. Fear is something you can control. Fear is something you can stand up to. Fear is something you can overcome. Why? Because it's something personal.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do for everybody. Everybody is afraid in a different way. So when you're talking to someone, when you're trying to wake them up, you have to figure out what's scaring them. Is it the virus? That's easy. Give them some statistics. Is it the government? Make them feel unity. Make them feel like they're not alone. Let them know that there's other people that think that way. Let them know there's other people that value freedom, that are ready to stand up. This is how you provide hope. This is how you provide courage. This is how you provide people with the way to stand up and make the necessary difference. And we can do it. We are doing it, and we're going to continue doing it. Thank you very much.
Woo! Amazing.
Hi, everybody. That was
Amazing.
wonderful.
Woo!
So I'm going to have Letitia come up and take the microphone. She's been such an amazing help to this movement.
Yes.
And on behalf of everybody, she's such an amazing woman, an awesome volunteer, and I really, really appreciate her. Aw.
Woo! Hugs, hugs.
So everybody, please welcome Letitia.
Woo!
Hi everybody, my name again is Letitia Montana, and can you hear me okay?
Yes.
And I've had the pleasure to attend our weekly freedom gatherings at Queen's Park every Saturday for the past 7 weeks, and I'm very grateful for this growing movement of concerned citizens who care about their freedoms and want to see our country, our province and our country reopen and get back to the normal that we love and know. And that we want for our children. We do not want this new normal of social isolation and just so much injustice. And what I'd like to do today, guys, is, 3 weeks ago, I read a letter by our MPP, Brandy Hillier, who has been one of the few voices of sanity in this whole situation. And he was inquiring to the Financial Accountability Office of Ontario regarding the cost of all the delayed surgical procedures, all the delayed operations that are not being performed. And he was asking, has the money for those procedures been set aside so that those procedures can still happen, or has that been reassigned to other purposes? And the financial cost is just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking about a massive cost in lives and the health of millions of Canadians. And in the US, we have a very similar situation. And what I'd like to read to you today is a letter that has been signed by over 500, close to 600 US physicians and addressed publicly to President Trump. This letter was dated May 19th. We're almost a month away from that. And not much has changed in the US nor in Canada. So here's the letter, guys. It says, "Dear Mr. President, thousands of physicians in all specialties and from all states would like to express our gratitude for your leadership. We write to you today to express our alarm over the exponentially growing negative health consequences of the national shutdown. In medical terms, the shutdown was a mass casualty incident. During a mass casualty incident, victims are immediately triaged to black, red, yellow, or green. The first group, triage level black, includes those who require too many resources to save during a mass crisis. The red group has severe injuries that are survivable with treatment. The yellow group has serious injuries that are not immediately life-threatening, and the green group has minor injuries. The red group receives highest priority. The next priority is to ensure that the other two groups do not deteriorate a level. Decades of research have shown that by strictly following this algorithm, we save maximum number of lives. Millions of Americans are already at triage level red. This includes 150,000 Americans per month who would have had a new cancer detected through routine screening. That hasn't happened. Millions who have missed routine dental care to fix problems strongly linked to heart disease or death. And preventable cases of stroke, heart attack, and child abuse. Suicide hotline phone calls have increased 600%. Tens of millions are at triage level yellow. Liquor sales have increased 300 to 600%. Cigarette sales have increased. Rent has gone unpaid. Family relationships have become frayed. And millions of well-child checkups have been missed. Hundreds of millions are at triage level green. These are people who currently are solvent, but at risk should economic conditions worsen. Poverty and financial uncertainty is closely linked to poor health. A continued shutdown means hundreds of millions of Americans will downgrade a level. The following are real examples from our practices. Patient ES is a mother with 2 children whose office job was reduced to part-time and whose husband was furloughed. In other words, let go.
Yep.
The father is drinking more, the mother is depressed and not managing her diabetes well, and the children are barely doing any schoolwork. Patient AF has chronic but previously stable health conditions. Her elective hip replacement was delayed, which caused her to become nearly sedentary, resulting in a pulmonary embolism in April. Patient RT is an elderly nursing home patient who had a small stroke in early March but was expected to make a nearly complete recovery. Since the shutdown, he has had no physical or speech therapy and no visitors. He has lost weight and is deteriorating rather than making progress. Patient SO is a college freshman who cannot return to normal life, school, and friendships. He risks depression, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, trauma, and future financial uncertainty. We are alarmed at what appears to be lack of consideration for the future health of our patients. The downstream health effects of deteriorating a level are being massively underestimated and underreported. This is an order of magnitude error. It is impossible to overstate the short, medium, and long-term harm to people's health with a continued shutdown. Losing a job is one of life's most stressful events, and the effect on a person's health is not lessened because it has also happened to 30 million other people. Keeping schools and universities closed is incalculably detrimental for children, teenagers, and young adults for decades to come. The millions of casualties of a continued shutdown will be hiding in plain sight, but they will be called alcoholism, homelessness, suicide, heart attack, stroke, or kidney failure. In youths, it will be called financial instability, unemployment, despair, drug addiction, unplanned pregnancies, poverty, and abuse. Because the harm is diffuse, there are those who hold that it does not exist. We, the undersigned, know otherwise. Please let us know if we may be of assistance. Respectfully signed, Simone Gold, MD, JD, together with over 500 other physicians.
Yes. Yes.
An open letter addressed to President Trump of the U.S.
Yes.
Let's not kid ourselves.
No.
We are in a very similar situation in Canada.
Yes.
Mr. Hillier was talking about 52,000 so-called elective procedures that did not get performed, and 12,000 of these get added every single week that we do not open our hospitals for essential medical procedures. These are not elective procedures.
No.
I personally have read testimonials of people who felt, I suffered a minor heart attack, and they were sure that this has happened, but they were afraid to go to a hospital for fear of being labeled COVID positive, not being allowed to see their families, and let's not even talk about some of the abuses that have emerged, testimonials from nurses and doctors as to what is actually happening in some of the U.S. hospitals. I hope to God that's not the case here in Ontario and Canada.
It is.
But what I'd like to say, I know for a fact that Rebel News has interviewed at least a nurse and a doctor. A doctor has said that in a 14-hour shift, he had seen no patients. We have been told this whole time that we need to prevent our hospitals from being overwhelmed. Okay. And most of us did our part. But it has become obvious that our hospitals are far from being overwhelmed. And in fact, the people that need to be served by our medical system are not being served.
Woo!
This is not okay.
No.
This cannot be allowed to continue.
No.
And, you know, using my voice as a Canadian, I'd like to make an open invitation to any and all medical professionals here in Ontario and throughout Canada. Please do not remain silent. Silence is consent. Silence is consent. And by remaining silent, you are contributing to this increasing health crisis that we're going to be facing on a large level, on a large scale. Please speak out. Speak to your medical associations. Speak to our politicians. Do not hide in the shadows. I know right now you may still be collecting a salary, as are many of our elected representatives. They're not being affected by these shutdowns. They're collecting their
money,
salaries. Think about the future of your children. Medical professionals, you have children too. You live in this country. Do you want to live in a country where this has happened and where it has happened on your watch? I invite you to please speak out. Please take a stand. At our Saturday gatherings, I have seen personally at least 2 nurses, one of them dressed in full nurses gear. Here to stand for liberty, here to stand for freedom. I'd like to see more of these medical professionals take a stand. That's all I have to say. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Woo! Woo! So powerful.
Letitia, everybody, wasn't that fantastic?
Amazing.
She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
We all need to come together. So if you don't mind, I'd like to say a few words. The freedom of speech is the only way a person can thoroughly express themselves in a civilized manner that doesn't disrupt the safety or security of another, regardless of how insulted or profane the language might be, or the opinions. Speech does not affect or change an individual's safety or security. An insult is not an assault. And if you disagree, then you should seek help to learn better. Freedom of speech is synonymous to the freedom of expression. So it is so important for everybody to always voice their opinions. Why does government exist? The truth? Because there are not enough people in the world who are capable of taking honest responsibility for their own lives and actions. It's only an intelligent minority that has the will of this sort of morality. So a system of order is a necessity of civilization in its entirety. The only system that currently and globally exists today that evolves humanity in a civilized manner is that of democracy. Democracy is a platform where all people, no matter their beliefs or ideologies, can meet and compromise in an effort to live peacefully amongst one another while teaching individuals self-responsibility. It's a place where everyone is honest and takes responsibility for all life, because all lives matter. Democracy
Yes.
ensures that the minority of people capable of taking honest responsibility for life can teach others to do the same.
I stand just a small crowd today.
It provides opportunities to everyone who's willing to contribute to its expansion without prejudice. It encourages the will of every individual to evolve peacefully. There is no other form of mass evolution on Earth other than democracy. It is symmetrical. It provides equal opportunities to the vast wilderness of various different cultures because equality of outcome does not exist in nature and therefore cannot ever exist applied to natural beings without oppression or slavery.
Yes, true.
And though democracy should be the ambition of all people, the balance of nature disagrees. Therefore, democracy requires definition, protection from anyone and everyone who works to infiltrate or blur the perimeters of democracy. Our own evolution depends on it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Words. I know I go on every day about words and how important they are, but they really are, and it is the fundamental, most important base of civilization. So it is so very important for people to understand actual definitions of words. And these days, in my opinion, our root problems throughout all of society stems from the perversion of simple definitions. Justin Trudeau, for instance, earlier this year, I believe everybody's familiar with the term foreign fighters. Well, how many of you realize that foreign fighters are ISIS?
Wow.
Nobody.
No.
You would assume that that would be a faction of the Canadian military, considering it sounds so nice, right?
Wow.
But it's not.
Wow.
When he refers to foreign fighters, he was referring to a terrorist organization.
Wow. Wow.
Words are everything in society because it's the words we use that define the laws that keep the peace amongst such a vast array of different individuals with different beliefs, different faiths, different cultures. And that's what Canada is. And Ontario is the heart of that sort of democracy. And it is our job to ensure we keep it that way. We are not children. We do not require a nanny.
Yep. Yep.
We do not need the Premier of Ontario to keep us safe. We have amazing police. Amazing police.
Woo.
That's what they put themselves on the line for us. That's what they're there for. There is nothing safe about putting a mask on my daughter.
That's right.
My daughter, who is 13 years old and is missing graduation this year, along with
Boo.
thousands upon thousands of other kids. This is a point I'd like to make as somebody who has studied psychology so in-depthly. Graduation ceremonies are a reward system. They're there to congratulate children for doing so much hard work and to encourage them to continue in education. How many kids are going to be encouraged to continue their education with no reward? Why isn't anybody talking about this?
Yep. Thank you, sister. Thank you.
With that said, I would like to inform everybody. This Canada Day, I've decided, along with Fearless Ontario and some other folks that are going to help us out, right here at Queen's Park on Canada Day, we are going to hold a provincial grand graduation ceremony.
Aww.
Anybody who wants to see their children walk down that aisle and get that certificate, come down to Queen's Park on Canada Day and watch them graduate. The grounds here are beautiful, makes for amazing pictures, and these kids deserve their reward. We want to encourage them. Children are our future. Children are everything. And it doesn't matter how different we are, how we may differ from each other, we are all obligated to provide them with a better world than we inherited. And if we allow this nonsense to continue, it's not going to happen. We decide. They're our children.
Yep.
We decide. That's our house. We decide. This is our parliament. This is our society. This is our country. Those are our jobs.
Yes.
This is our hospitals. These are our grounds.
Yeah.
This will not continue. and
Yes.
we will stop it.
Yes.
With that, I'm going to have Kieran come up and. No, you're not good today.
I don't have anything to say today. Sorry.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with another round of speakers. Maddie, did you want to say something before we go, or afterwards? Okay, afterwards. All right, so we're going to have a short break, maybe have a little bit of music and mingle a bit, and then we'll come on back. All right, folks, thank you so much.
Thank you.